How much will you spend on a Dell optiplex? £500? £250? £10? What if I told you I spent £0 on a computer in one of the most deprived boroughs of London in the middle of the night by stealing it? Oh, okay, for the record show, I didn't actually steal it. I just saw it in the front on son's house and took it home in hopes I could get it working. But there's history behind it, as it still has a live security tag on it, but you have to continue watching to find out. It all started when I came home from school. I took an alternative path, by the way. Very bad idea, never do that. And found a cold and sorry metal dinosaur on top of some garbage at someone's front property. Now I assume that the person is going to leave it out on the sidewalk before the dawn of the night. After all, I have to pick up an SSD for that £20 industrial motherboard I ordered. Future video, by the way. Make sure you subscribe, you could watch it. At CEX before the store closes at 7. On my way to CEX, I went to that same exact path. I'm going to show you where I found it. It was still there, this time in 3-degree weather, no lights in the house, and that street has no street lights at all. I assume that no one's home actually. Anyway, I'm gonna go get an SSD. That's for the upcoming video that I'm going to upload. When I came back from CEX, I confessed to my camera about my devious plans. So one thing to mention, the computer is in a very dimly lit area. It's good because that means I won't get caught. But if I mess up because the case is open, they didn't bother closing it, they took the hard drive out. So I'm just hoping that if I come in, swoop in, just grab it. Remember, I had to do all of this in a completely dark neighborhood, as it has no lampposts while cars and people walk down the street. I stood there for a good 5 minutes before committing. Unfortunately, the rest of the footage is unusable because it's pitch black and I set the exposure to 1/4 of a second and the ISO whacked all the way up, and I still got dark horse crap. And things got a little grim. The microphone stopped working because my phone magically turned itself to time-lapse mode, so I guess I have to recreate the sounds myself. Alright guys, I'm going in. I'm doing it! The freaking side panels are loose. Alright, I got it. I'm speed walking home, guys. Holy crap, oh my god. Some dumb idiot threw away a couch, which allowed me to rest the computer to put the optical drive back in and close the side panel. Then I walked my way home. Safely. Little side note, if you're one of those mole rats who throw away their trash on the sidewalk, let alone your entire f***ing couch, I hope bed bugs infest your crotch at night, you lazy ass bitch. Alright, back to the video. Now you obviously expect some dirt on anything left outside, even for 24 hours. It was sitting on that pile of trash ever since I laid eyes on it. I had a chance to open the side panel inside, so you know, you can see the specs. There shows the storage. Surprising to me, since I assume the storage has been removed, hence why they bothered not to install the side panel. And you know what, 500 gigs is actually not that bad, assuming that it still works. And there goes the memory. We got memory, boys. I'm glad I have these before Sam Altman did. Not that DDR3 and 2 4GB sticks matters to AI anyway. Side note, DDR3 had also seen an increase in price, mainly from eBay scalpers, scumbags. We know the CPU is a Core i5 from their case badge, but which one is a mystery. Place your bets what it could be. We also got a bunch of dust. This has been sitting under a cupboard for a very long time. I think this has... Oh no, this came from a smoker. Oh crap, yeah, that's gonna be a bit of a problem. This is gonna be a stinky boy. Got the cooler with the performance. I like how they call it performance here. I hope the CPU is still in there. That seems to be in there as well. Oh god, that's my phone. Looks okay, this has Corning glass on it. Dell, okay, so this is the original hard drive. Companies usually remove the hard drive as part of their security policy. And well, that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything down. I'm going to remove everything and I'm going to blow it with the hairdryer for like a good 15 minutes. I don't know why I suggested the hairdryer, maybe to warm the computer up. Well, that's a stupid idea that I promise you I never followed up on. This has not been looked after. I don't know what the heck I just touched there. I think you get the point. It's dirty and dusty and requires some maintenance before we could even plug it in. The next step is to unplug all the cables so that they're not a hindrance when pulling out components. Okay, that's good. And then get rid of the power cable for the this is the hard drive. Yep. This also includes the front panel, which needs to be cleaned separately. That is disgusting. Gross. Then the power supply is to be removed. This may be a component that may fail if we ever plug it into power in its moist state. So I will leave that out to dry and warm up. Just disconnect these cables. Then finally is the motherboard. Fun fact, the screws are similar to the standard mini ITX layout, except for the shorter height and non-standard connectors. Incidentally, the CPU cooler would need to be removed in order for the motherboard to get out. There you go. There you go. That's some dry, crusty thermal paste. Look at that. There's the main board. All of its dust and glory. Now we have an empty shell of what was once a computer, now with bonus dust flying everywhere in my room. And now it's time to bring the ultimate weapon, the Ultra Suck 9000, also known as a Hoover. Using the Hoover or vacuum cleaner is good for removing loose dust that's settled on the inside. Of course, the vacuum has no effect on any smaller ground-in particles, but we could deal that using the damp disinfectant, which loosens the dirt. I did the front panel of plastic first, as it has that same weird sticky goo from under the case. There's nothing stopping me now. I have it in my hands. What are you gonna do? Huh? Call the police? Didn't forget about this, did I, huh? And then the side panel. This is followed by the rest of the exterior, which, yeah. If you're drinking your soup, I advise you should look. Remember that this was on top of literal garbage. Part of me don't want to know what it is. It could be leftover food. And why is it so sticky? It also took a while to remove since it was really ground in. I didn't forget about the front fan. Thanks to Dell for not including screws, opting to use rubber clip things as it was easy to remove and clean using the wet cloth, and turned out perfect in the end. Vacuum, or the Hoover, wasn't able to pick up because it's a fan, it's completely caked with dust. Oh, look at that. Oh, I missed the spot. Look at that. See that? And finally, the interior received the same treatment of the disinfecting cloth, removing what is left of the dirt. After reinstalling the front fan, I moved on cleaning the several plastic components such as the power supply intake shroud and the CPU cooling shroud. I am not convinced that this cheap piece of plastic can effectively exhaust all the hot air out from the system. Maybe Dell wants to save some money by using the Intel stock cooler as a cost saving measure, I'm not quite sure actually. Finally, the case is given a microfiber cloth to be prepared for reassembly. Up next is the power supply and hard drive cage. These have a surprising amount of dust on it, so I gave them a cleaning using the disinfectant cloth. Now with the power supply, I used the Hoover again to suck out any dust through the intake vents. My Hoover is one of those leaf blower combination things to blow out moisture inside the power supply, so I won't get electrocuted. And then the brains itself. Now make sure to not point the hose directly onto the motherboard to prevent static electricity, and I lied. Nah. I did point it at the motherboard and then unleashed years of dust into my room. Great. I then removed the remains of the crusty dusty thermal paste to reveal an Intel Core i5-4570. It's a non-K because duh! It's an office computer, can't really overclock on it, but at 4 cores and threads, it's still a capable CPU even for gaming, even if it doesn't have hyperthreading. Then finally, the CPU cooler gets the cloth treatment, cleaning all the fins and dust and removing the old thermal paste. And after all that, the computer is ready for reassembly. Now that it is cleaned, reassembled, and doesn't feel like slime anymore, we now need to know if our effort was worth our time. Oh no, the scary power cord. Oh, it's gonna blow up the whole computer. Oh, that CMOS battery right there is long dead. And these systems, well, these Dell systems, I know from experience, these things won't fully turn on. In fact, you'll just constantly power cycle until you clear the error that comes out of it. Alright, so we join us for the moment turn on. I have the power cords here. Oh! Ah! Come on, kickstart. I don't have to physically kick you. Come on, yeah!
Yeah, that's my genuine reaction. Nothing can get better than that screech of excitement. Remember that 500GB hard drive we had in there? Well, I reinstalled it in hopes that we get an operating system. My guess would be Windows 7 because it has that Windows 7 sticker on the front, right? This may be the last few Windows 7 computers sold for all I know, since Windows 8.1 was already out by then. Alright, now with the hard drive installed and oh crap, what is this image? That's not good. We'll just go ahead and restart the computer and hope that it would fix itself. And would you look at that? Indeed, there is Windows 7 installed. Well, the recovery screen at least. Could the previous owner be using Windows 7 for this long?
Doesn't I was doing. Yeah, this has Windows 7 on it.
However, my expectations went south. So south, it went back to the North Pole. Well, remember that blurred asset tag sticker in the intro? There is a really good reason for that, because Windows 7 has been part of an Active Directory domain. If you hate reading, the login message is the school's computer rules for students and staff members. Mainly talking about it using for classwork or VLEs, and that their activity is tracked by a software called Impero. And there is the login screen. I don't know any credentials for this computer. Even if I had, I can't log into anything because it requires the server. Technically, I can log into the local administrator account, but there's a password, so I'm stumped at this point in the OS. Now I know what you're thinking right now. Why didn't they remove the hard drive? Who dumped this computer at someone's property? Why are they using Windows 7? Is this potentially stolen property? I can't give a clear answer to all of them. There are many possibilities. For the Windows 7 thing, maybe they dumped it around the end of support in 2020 and a staff member or contracted recycler gained hold of it and never touched it for 5 years, only to be thrown out. It is a common standard that IT managers are to decommission their workstations by either wiping the storage or destroying the hard drives or zeroing the disks, and marked as such in their asset management system. At that point, they have the choice to recycle the computers, archive it, give it to another organization, or sell them on into the open market. This computer has likely never experienced those processes, which means that this computer may still be the property of the school, and that this computer has truly been stolen. I will have to wipe the disk, no matter how interesting the MS Paint art students made back during its computer service. And why not use that SSD I picked up from CEX? I spent so much time walking there. And yes, it is intended for that £20 industrial motherboard. Subscribe so you don't miss that video. No, I don't care if I'm using it on the wrong computer. I just want to make this Dell feel brand new again. With a fresh install of Windows 10 and Fedora Linux, it felt so much snappier in either operating system. That 8 gigs of RAM, useless for AI by the way, is still adequate for browsing the web. What about gaming? The Intel graphics in this generation is still my favorite integrated graphics solution to date, as it is pretty accessible to anyone, it can be purchased cheaply, and capable for running indie titles or older or lightweight games. It can play freaking Terraria and Minecraft at reasonable frame rates. Back in the day, I used to play Roblox on this graphics solution.
What is this map?
It's nice to see it still holds up years later. And there goes the case. After cleaning it and light polishing, it looks fantastic. None of that horrible icky feeling and none of that school dust. Sure, it may be stolen and kept by some Romanian smoker for 4 years, but the fact I rescued this functional computer no longer left for dead in someone's private property, shh, it can do what it can do best. Look like a Dell optiplex.